What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Facemask Fantasy, and more importantly, welcome to another week in the NFL. The rum has been poured, and now we just sit back and wait for Bengals Ravens. Hope everyone's had a good start to the week so far as we get ready for this is essentially the beginning of the end of the fantasy regular season. There's 4 weeks left. It's put up or shut up time. It's time for the contenders and pretenders to separate. And so that begins tonight. This is a good matchup. It's been a few weeks since we've had a good matchup on Thursday Night Football. Last week, I feel like I didn't even watch that game. And I feel like I didn't miss anything between the Bears and the Panthers. And then the week prior was the Titans and the Steelers, I think. Another unexciting matchup. Two unexciting teams. This one is better. You've got two legitimate contenders, two AFC North heavyweights, both with not just playoff aspirations, but Super Bowl aspirations. This should be a rock-solid matchup tonight. So any start-sit questions that pertain to this game, we'll make sure to cover those. But like I usually do on Thursday, I'll just do a quick rundown of generic thoughts on this game, the fantasy players involved, and what a potential outlook looks like. There's 4 obvious starts here. Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews are starters. Jamar Chase is a starter for the Bengals. And I think Joe Burrow is still a starter, even though it's been kind of an up and down season for him. And this is not a great matchup tonight. But I mean, what option do you have that is a better quarterback than Joe Burrow? Sometimes I think we get a little too caught up in matchups and different situations as to why I should start this guy over this guy. For me, hands down, always, for better or worse, to a fault, I'm always going to bet on the most talented player. And between Joe Burrow, the backup on your roster, and the options on the wire, you have no better option than Joe Burrow. You have to play him tonight. Baltimore is not giving up that much on defense, especially at home. I get that this is a tough matchup for Burrow. It's a floor game that you're pretty much hoping for from him, and then anything else after that is gravy. You're firing him up. You're firing him up. Like Joe Burrow or Brock Purdy or Joe Burrow or Josh Dobbs or Joe Burrow or Sam. It's like, stop it. Joe Burrow. Just lock it in. Put it in pen. And you're starting Joe Mixon as well. Again, bad matchup, not a great spot. The Ravens are a tough defense at home, but you're firing up Joe Mixon. Where it gets interesting are there's a lot of ancillary players in this game that do offer some very interesting fantasy appeal. I think Zay Flowers can still be fired up. I think Tyler Boyd can be fired up if you're looking for wide receiver, rock solid wide receiver 3 flex options. Both offer that. Flowers might have a little bit more upside as the likely, second option in the passing game, and also being at home. Flowers should be a pretty solid option to turn to. And I think Tyler Boyd is as well. I think a perfect example of where you would want to consider firing these guys up over a certain player that you maybe also have is like an Amari Cooper, who lost his quarterback for the rest of the season earlier this week. Not a tough spot for him this week against Pittsburgh, but with the expectation that the Browns are going to go with the rookie Dorian Thompson-Robinson, um, Cooper is behind a lot of players for me this week, including guys that are going tonight, like Zay Flowers and Tyler Boyd. Now, if it's Amari Cooper or Trenton Irwin, who is an interesting sleeper tonight, but is no more than that, then you probably just have to fire up Amari Cooper, who is just the better, clear-cut individual talent, and hope for the best. But guys who are closer in talent level, I'm not saying they're as talented as Amari Cooper, but more like they're more talented than Trenton Irwin, Zay Flowers, Tyler Boyd. You could fire guys like that up over somebody like, say, Amari Cooper or Nico Collins, who's missed a couple of weeks here, and we don't know what he's going to look like in his first game back, or Christian Watson, who it's been a lost season for. Those guys offer some intrigue. Where it really gets interesting, of course, is the Ravens' backfield. This is going to be a tough one to try to sort out because it's a Thursday night. Teams often use their backfield. They know what they're going to do, but it's completely unpredictable for the rest of us what they're going to do. Not necessarily the Bengals. It's going to be Joe Mixon, and then maybe who's his backup? Is it Chase Brown? Or no, he's on IR. Who the hell is the Bengals backup running back? That's my point. Is this one's a little bit more cut and dry. Joe Mixon is an easy guy to fire up even on a short week on the road. Oh, it's Travion Williams. Is he back? It doesn't matter. Joe Mixon, you're firing up even on a short week, and you're just hoping for the best. It's a little tougher when it's a full-blown committee, which is what the Ravens have between Gus Edwards, Justice Hill, and now Keaton Mitchell, who I think is going to get involved tonight because all he has done is proven that he needs to get more work and more opportunities. Devin Singletary had a really strong game against these Bengals last week. So you figure Gus Edwards and Keaton Mitchell should both be fine as, let's say, RB3 options, which is better than a wide receiver 3. And they're down multiple guys on their defense. Sam Hubbard is out for this game. I think Trey Hendrickson is a game time call. But I mean, how healthy is he going to be on a short week if he's even able to go? So this is a good spot for both Ravens running backs if you don't have other obvious options to turn to. Justice Hill can be left on the bench, but I mean, Keaton Mitchell has surpassed him as far as intrigue. Hill might mix in there a little bit more again because it's a short week. He may get a few more opportunities. But I wouldn't be firing him up in season-long leagues. Edwards and Keaton Mitchell, you can fire both of those guys up. It's a decent spot. It's not an auto spot. Obviously, depending on who you have on your roster, these guys might not be slam dunks, especially Mitchell, who is much more, I mean, he has improved beyond being a dart throw at this point, but he is by no means a guarantee. Neither is Gus, but at least he's the starter. And I would say Gus is a guy that you should probably find a way to get into your lineup. Mitchell he's a little bit more of a home run shot if you think you need to be aggressive in your matchup. But this is not a bad spot for Keaton Mitchell if you think you need to be aggressive and you've got some other, I don't know, maybe at this point, uninspiring options to turn to. So you've got your obvious guys, Lamar, Andrews, Burrow, Chase, Mixon, all in your starting lineup. Boyd is a viable start. Zay Flowers is a viable start. And the Ravens backfield of Gus Edwards. I think Gus Edwards is a viable option, and Keaton Mitchell is a solid swing for the fences. You could strike out with him, but if you feel like you need to be aggressive in your matchup, he's fine as a home run dart throw. As always, I will say this every time, every Thursday. Anybody that you have playing, I don't care if it's Jamar Chase or Trenton Irwin, whoever you are starting tonight, put them in a position spot, leave your flex open. Never, ever, ever leave Thursday night football players in your flex. Keep that spot open for Sunday and or Monday night. Maximize your flexibility, pun intended. Put those guys that you know you're going to play into their position spot. You never know what could happen later in the week. Now for, just to go around the rest of the league as far as some injury updates, some practice reports. Now we have some more clarity, right? Tuesday, it's tough to answer start-sit questions. Now we have a little bit more idea of what things look like. We still have to get through Friday and Saturday practice reports, Saturday for the Monday night game. Not that there's much intrigue there. It's pretty much we're just waiting for Dallas Goedert to be ruled out. But for Sunday, we've got a little bit more clarity. Friday practice reports will certainly help give a little bit more certainty about guys who are or are not playing, but we've got some more information now. Bears running back Khalil Herbert practiced in full on Thursday, so it's looking like he's going to be able to make his return against the Detroit Lions. That's probably one you want to sit on for 1 week. I don't know that I necessarily want to fire up Khalil Herbert in his first game back after missing a month against a tough defense, a tough run defense as well. I would probably look for other options for one more week. But Khalil Herbert is back, so that's great. Devon Achane is back and expected to play week 11. I know it's an incredibly small sample size that we saw from him, but unless you've got 3 or at least 2 stud running backs that you simply can't take out of your lineup, I think Achane has earned the right already to find his way back into your starting lineup, even after the extended absence. What he did prior to getting hurt was absolutely unbelievable. And with the offense that he plays on, I think you got to find a way to get him back in there. So it's nice to see Achane back for the Miami Dolphins. Deontay Johnson practiced today. He missed practice yesterday with a thumb injury, but no issues there. Justin Jefferson has been logging limited practices yesterday and today. He appears to be on track to return. We're not going to guarantee that 100% just yet. It's looking good. It's looking likely Jefferson will be available this week, but he himself has said he wants to make sure he is 100% before he's back out there. So the limited practices are something that we still need to keep in mind and monitor. Obviously, if Justin Jefferson is ultimately able to play, you're putting him back into your lineup. So Friday's practice will be important. And then, of course, we'll probably get a designation by Saturday on him. I would assume Jefferson will be marked as questionable. He'll be listed as questionable for the game. They could take that up right until kickoff. So if you have Justin Jefferson, just be aware, be alert, be prepared. We can't sit here and declare that he is 100% playing just yet. Alexander Mattison practiced in a limited fashion today. He's still in concussion protocol, but the fact that he practiced means that he's not yet guaranteed to be ruled out for this game. So if you picked up Ty Chandler, it's not a slam dunk as of right now, as of tonight, that he is going to be the dude and he is like this intriguing flex play that you could fire up. Madison still needs to clear concussion protocol. That hasn't happened yet. The fact that he has practiced does obviously indicate a positive progression in his availability and his return to play and recovering from the concussion. We're not out of the woods yet, but also we can't just auto put Ty Chandler into our lineups. Can't do that just yet. So we got to keep an eye on that. One guy who probably can be ruled out at this point is Dameon Pierce. I'm not really sure why they didn't the Texans just put him on IR. He's set to it's looking highly likely he's going to miss a third straight game. He hasn't practiced in multiple weeks at this point. He didn't practice yesterday. He hasn't practiced today. At this point, it's hard to envision Pierce suiting up for the against the Arizona Cardinals for the Houston Texans. Devin Singletary is in another RB2 spot in a great matchup against the Arizona Cardinals that are giving up tons of production to opposing running backs. Home game for Devin Singletary. He's looking like a decent option, probably over even some regularly obvious starts. Noah Brown for Houston also didn't practice again, so wheels up on Tank Dell once again, even though it's looking like Nico Collins will play this week and return from a 2-game absence. He declared it himself on Wednesday, or maybe it was Tuesday, that he intends to play this week for Houston against Arizona. And Keenan Allen is he was listed as limited in practice Thursday. It looks like his availability for the Chargers is fine. That's a quick injury roundup with the relevant fantasy players going into week 11. So with guys like Justin Jefferson, with guys like whether you have Alexander Madison or maybe you picked up Ty Chandler, if you have Devin Singletary or Tank Dell, obviously keep an eye on whatever Friday practice reports show us tomorrow. And we probably want to find a way to get Devin Singletary into our lineups, assuming Dameon Pierce is out this week after not practicing for 2 straight days for the 3rd straight week. Okay. I think the whip around is all good to go at this point, so I can start taking questions. Again, for anybody who is new or if you've been around the block before and you just need a refresher, I will get to member questions first. That is a perk of being a member of the channel. If you are interested in getting more information, it is the first link in the description of this stream and all of the videos on this channel. One of the perks is that you get to jump the line. I don't see any members in here just yet. But we'll want to keep that in mind in case any of them decide to pop in. Otherwise, I will just go down the list as I see them. So appreciate everybody's patience as I move through these ahead of Thursday night. And if you're enjoying the conversation and the engagement and the dialogue and all that good stuff, I don't ask for I won't beg for members or supers, but I do just ask if you're enjoying the stream and the dialogue, to like the stream. That helps for engagement purposes and algorithm purposes. All right, let's get into it from the top. Would I change anything in Astro's starting lineup? No, not McCaffrey, not Hall. I mean, there's some good running backs options on your bench, but no. No, this looks good. I still believe I want to chase a guy like Christian Kirk. I'm fine with the Jaguars in a bounce back spot. I pushed Trevor Lawrence last week. That backfired in a big way. Basically avoid the San Francisco 49ers on offense if at all possible. It's not looking good for the Tampa Bay Bucks this weekend. But I think that the Jags will bounce back. They'll be better against the Tennessee Titans. You can fire up your Jags without any concern. Yeah, looks good. Looks good to me. I wouldn't make any changes. I like Gus tonight. I think he will do fine. But I'm not, obviously you're not taking McCaffrey or Hall out of your lineup. And I like Devontae Smith in your flex. There should be a lot of points scored on Monday night between the Eagles and the Chiefs. And you got to figure the Eagles have a little extra motivation playing in a Super Bowl rematch, the game, of course, that they did not win. So wheels up on the Eagles offense, even though they will be facing a difficult Chiefs defense that is much improved compared to the past couple of seasons. So, no, looks good to me. Uh, Tank Dell or Marquise Brown rest of season? Probably Hollywood. He gets, he gets Kyler Murray back. I don't know how long that's going to be for. I did express this on Tuesday. It's cool. It's great that Kyler is back. Kyler's back. He was running around. He looked like himself. If 10 months removed from a torn ACL, looked pretty good, all things considering. This is still an Arizona Cardinals team that is going nowhere this year. They're 2-8. They're playing and preparing for 2024. It's a combination of things as to why Kyler is back, other than the fact that he is now healthy. One, it's possible that the Cardinals are interested in moving on from him because they will be in a position most likely to get one of the top quarterback options in the draft. So they want to get his trade value up. That's a possible scenario. The other scenario is they're paying him a shitload of money. You might as well play the dude if he's healthy. What's the point of paying the guy and not playing him when he's ready? That being said, if they feel like in weeks, 16, 17, 18, that they've seen enough or that they're happy with what they've seen from Kyler over these next 4 or 5 weeks, I wouldn't rule it out that they shut him down with a phantom injury as they prepare for 2024. So, obviously, if that happens and if they turn to Clayton Tune to tank it home for them for 2024 and they outright lose a few games to end the 2023 season, which is meaningless for them, obviously Hollywood's value goes in the tank. No pun intended that this question includes Tank Dell. But right now it's Marquise Brown. He is the more proven player. He is the clear-cut wide receiver 1 for his team, and his quarterback is back healthy. Obviously, Stroud is playing like an MVP right now, and Tank Dell is a huge beneficiary of that, and he's an integral part of what they do in the passing game. He is much better than, if you redraft the 2023 draft at this point, Tank Dell is going 20 spots or more higher than where he was selected by the Houston Texans. That being said, you still have Nico Collins there. You still have a Dalton Schultz there who is playing pretty well, pretty consistently. There are more questions, not in general, but week to week, as to whether Tank Dell will be his team's top option in the pecking order. There are no questions, even with the development of Trey McBride, who the top option in the pecking order is for the Arizona Cardinals, which is why I say Hollywood rest of season. That being said, if you are looking to the playoffs, I guess I would try to do Dell instead of Hollywood in that offer to try to get Josh Allen. Dell, there's a chance. Obviously, there's only so much that we can try to predict by, I know we're all trying to look into the future, and what's the best move for our team. I'm not ruling out that Tank Dell is maybe the more valuable player between him and Hollywood in the fantasy playoffs. Again, in this scenario that I have kind of put together myself, that Kyler gets shut down week 16, 17, 18, or whatever. Then obviously you'd rather have Tank Dell. But for now, we can't operate that way. Kyler is back, and Hollywood is his top option. So I would operate as if I'd rather have Hollywood rest of season and see if I could. If you're trying to get Josh Allen, you're trying to do Tua for one of those guys for Allen, I would offer Dell. If it requires one or the other, obviously not both, that's too much. I'm fine with either one, but I would rather keep Hollywood. Rather keep Hollywood. Uh, let's see. You got Mostert and Achane. Okay. You got offered Cook for Mostert, which of course is is an interesting prospect because Achane is now back for the Miami Dolphins. I don't know that I would do that. On one hand, if you do that trade, you're being aggressive and you're trying to maximize your potential ceiling, which I am perfectly fine with. But on the other hand, you already experienced what it was like to lose one of these two guys for a certain amount of games this season. You lost Achane for the past 4 or 5 weeks, but you had Mostert already ready to go as a locked-in RB1 without Achane vulturing work. So you really benefited from that. And then, of course, if Achane gets hurt again and you don't have Mostert, now you're kind of stuck. I mean, you have James Cook. That's great. But you don't have the guy that's going to step up in the backfield in the absence of the guy who got hurt. You would have traded him away at this point. I would probably keep Mostert. If I have Achane and Mostert, I don't think I want to break that up in redraft. I get the idea of maximizing a potential ceiling here. And that could be the case with flipping Mostert for James Cook and betting on Achane. I would probably just keep the Dolphins' backfield. They are attached to a top 3 offense in the NFL. Both could conceivably produce while both are healthy because they're in the, they're both really good individual players and they're in a great offense. James Cook has been solid. He's averaging 5 yards a carry this year. But he's only scored 1 touchdown. His opportunities for scores are less so than the Dolphins running backs. The Bills offense is really good, even though they've had their problems recently. They're still really good. The problem is Josh Allen vultures a lot of those short yardage and goal line scores, and in the red zone, they're turning to Latavius Murray. The Bills are. I think I would just keep Mostert. If one goes down, you still have the other. I think I would just hold. I think I would just hold. Is Keaton Mitchell worth a start in flex? Well, it depends on is it him or Rashee Rice? Is that the question? Is it basically Keaton Mitchell or Rashee Rice this week? I mean, I think you got to go Rice. I think you got to go Rice. He's pretty much emerged as the wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs. He's been a strong floor play for about a month now. And he gets a matchup against a leaky Eagles secondary. I feel like he's less of a dart throw. Keaton Mitchell is kind of a dart throw. He's a home run dart throw, but he's still a bit of a dart throw. I think I would still play Rice. It's a good matchup against the Eagles. He gets to catch passes from Patrick Mahomes, and he feels like the wide receiver 1 right now. Travis Kelce is obviously in his own class. But as far as the pure wide receivers, the actual wideouts for the Kansas City Chiefs, it's Rashee Rice and then a bunch of garbage. Sky Moore, blah. Mecole Hardman, blah. Kadarius Toney, blah. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, blah. I mean, I could keep going. Rashee Rice is the guy for them. I would just stick with Rice. I think I would just stick with Rice. What's up, Jay? How's it going, man? Derek, I'm sorry to hear you got COVID from that game. I mean, that's rough. Well, hopefully you're feeling better. I know that was a few weeks ago, so it probably should have cleared up by now. Uh, that's rough. That's no fun. It's no fun being sick. Hopefully you're better now. Zay Flowers, Noah Brown, Hollywood, Trey McBride start two. I guess I would go. Is this full PPR? It is. Um, I mean, I like Flowers tonight. I think he's fine. Noah Brown didn't practice today or yesterday, so that's not a great sign. Um, do we have an update about what that's all about with Noah Brown? He's got a knee injury, second straight day of practice, missed. Yeah, so I would fire up Flowers for sure because we don't even know if Noah Brown is going to be able to go. And then I guess I would go Hollywood. I can't. I know Trey McBride is on a heater. I just have a hard time starting tight ends over good options at wide receiver. I mean, last week McBride had, or this past week against the Falcons, he had 8 catches for 131 yards. Oh man. He didn't have a great game against Cleveland on the road week 9, but that was with Clayton Tune as his quarterback. He had another blow up week 8 against Baltimore, 10 catches, 95 yards, and a score. He's had 2 monster games in the past 3 weeks. Now he goes on the road against Houston, who is giving up a lot of production to opposing tight ends on the season. However, they've been a little bit better over the past month. Still, by the numbers, the Houston Texans are even with them being improved, they are still a top 10 favorable matchup for opposing tight ends. So it's a really good matchup for Trey McBride. Who is your starting tight end? Was it Sports Spotlight? Who is your starting tight end? Just out of curiosity. I think I would start Zay Flowers. I'm curious to know who your starting tight end is. If it's like, you know, Kelsey, Hawkinson, Andrews, Laporta. If it's like one of the big studs, I would be trying to sell high on McBride and see if you can get like a really good wide receiver for him because you can ask for a really, really good player right now from him. But I'm curious. Let me know who your starting tight end is, and I'll come back to this one if you're still in here. What's going on, Greg? Good to see you, man. Do I like Dobbs over Lawrence now? Yeah, Lawrence shit the bed last week. Although I feel like we can probably expect that for quarterbacks facing the 49ers moving forward. I think it's fair to have Dobbs now over Trevor Lawrence. So if you have Josh Dobbs, that's fine. You can play him. There's nothing scary about a matchup against the Denver Broncos, even on the road. Dobbs has been playing some inspiring football. He might get Justin Jefferson back this week. I'm fine with firing up Dobbs over Lawrence. That's fine with me. What a bad game by the Jacksonville Jaguars this past week. I know the 49ers are really good, and that defensive line is a nightmare matchup for anybody. But I mean, I think he had like less than 200 yards of offense and 3 or 4 turnovers. Like, come on, Lawrence. I've been tooting his horn all season. Like, bet on talent, bet on talent, bet on talent. It has not materialized to full fruition for the Jacksonville Jaguars this year. Lawrence needs to start playing better and start stepping up. You were supposed to be the next big quarterback prospect, the best one since Andrew Luck. What the hell's going on, man? In your own division, a rookie quarterback looks significantly better than you right now. Step it up. All right. Yeah. Sports Spotlight. If you're still in here, I will finish the answer to your question. Let me know who your starting tight end is, though. Do you start Murray or Fields? Murray, because he got the first start out of the way. Fields is working his way back. Um, or it'll be Fields' first game back after missing the past month. Um, It is a good matchup for Fields by the numbers. The Lions are giving up top 5 production to opposing quarterbacks the past few weeks. One of those games, I believe, was against Baltimore. That was that game where the Ravens lit them up. Who have the Lions played the past 4 weeks? They played the Chargers. Herbert had a huge game last week. In week 8, they played Vegas. Wasn't that like that was not a good game by Garoppolo. They played the Ravens and then they played the Bucks. Did Baker Mayfield did he play well against the Detroit Lions? No, he didn't. Okay, it's just on the backs of the performances recently of Lamar and Justin Herbert, which is why Detroit has yielded so much production recently to quarterbacks on the whole. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. I'm not scared off by the Lions defense because of that. Houston is not as good of a matchup for opposing quarterbacks as the Lions are by the numbers, but they're not a dominant group. They're not exactly a shutdown group. It's still on the whole a favorable matchup for opposing quarterbacks. And Kyler, right now, I think is the better thrower of the football than Justin Fields is. I would play Kyler. I would play Kyler. Sorry for the thin loss, Greg. That's frustrating. You just we should be expecting more from Trevor Lawrence. Like, that was unacceptable. I didn't expect a ceiling game against the 49ers, but I figured he would do better than 150 passing yards and 3 turnovers or whatever it was. Not good enough. All right, let's see. 2 running backs, 2 receivers, 2 flex. So Amon-Ra's an obvious start. Montgomery's an obvious start. Achane's an obvious start. Okay, you said you locked in. Rashee Rice, Brandon Cooks, Singletary, Mitchell. That's Keaton. And Sutton to fill the remaining 3 spots. I think I would put Singletary in, assuming Dameon Pierce is going to miss this game. The Arizona Cardinals are a bad defense, giving up a lot of production on the season to running backs. They are on the season, the Cardinals are a top 3 matchup for opposing running backs, a favorable one. And over the past 4 weeks, they're slightly better, but they're still a top 8 favorable matchup for opposing running backs. Singletary, we can't expect 150 yards and a touchdown every week, but at home against the Arizona Cardinals, he should be fine. He should be fine. I would go him. I would go Rice if it's full PPR. I don't see scoring listed here. I would probably go Rice. I would put Rice in one of your flex spots because he doesn't play until Monday night. And then it's pretty much between Sutton and Mitchell. Brandon Cooks is in there as well. Um, who has been coming on strong recently. Like Cooks in 3 of his past 4 games, he has a touchdown. Last week was a true blow up game against the Giants, who are awful. The Panthers aren't good either. I think Singletary should be your RB2. Well, not your RB2 because you have Montgomery and Achan. Singletary should be a flex. Rashee Rice should be a flex. Good matchup for him on Monday night against the Eagles. And then I would say, I guess I would go with Sutton over Cooks. He's at home. Broncos are playing better over the past few weeks. Cowboys should be fine against the Panthers, but on the road, I feel a little less confident in Brandon Cooks. He blew up last week against the Giants, and he's had a touchdown in 3 of his past 4 games. The problem is, outside of that touchdown, those touchdowns, he hasn't done a ton else. I think it was like week 9 against the Eagles, he didn't do anything. 1 catch, 7 yards. Week 8 against the Rams, he had 3 catches for 49 yards. What bailed him out was the score. And then week 6 against the Chargers was 4 catches for 36 yards and a score. So he kind of was like salvaging his day. 3 of the past 4 games have been good fantasy days. Last week was a spectacular one. And then those other 2 really good ones were a result of scoring a touchdown. Could he do that again against the Panthers? Of course. Sutton's been a little bit more consistent than him, though, especially over the past month. I think I would go Sutton instead of Cooks. So flex 1 is Singletary, flex 2 is Rashee Rice, and your other wide receiver, I would put Sutton in over Cooks. Mitchell's a very interesting option here, but I think you've got I think you have good enough other pieces where we don't chance it with him. Although Mitchell will approach the must start territory if he has another big game tonight, which is possible. I also just have I have a tough time firing up non-obvious options on Thursday night football. I hate the short week and I try to avoid it. Yep, Greg, Bucker's he's a fine play at kicker this week. There should be a lot of points scored in this game. The Eagles don't give up a ton of points to opposing kickers, but this is the Kansas City Chiefs we're talking about. Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid off a bye week at home. Yeah, he's fine. He's fine. I'm fine with that. All right, let's see. Where am I at? Pick 2 between Keaton, Brees, and Ridley. Well, Brees is a duh. Brees is a must start every week. I know he hasn't been like bona fide RB1 the past couple of weeks, but you fire Brees Hall up every single week. So it's pretty much between Ridley and Keaton Mitchell. Man, It's a really good matchup by the numbers for Calvin Ridley. I feel like we say this every friggin' week, and every friggin' week he disappoints us. Um, but Tennessee is giving up a lot of production to opposing wide receivers. They're a top 10 matchup for the past month, and they're a top 8 matchup on the season. The Titans are a favorable matchup for opposing wide receivers, but Calvin Ridley keeps giving us reasons not to believe in him. I expect a better game from the Jacksonville Jaguars this week than the one that they had against San Francisco. But I mean, Calvin Ridley has scored double-digit half PPR points 4 times this year. He's been under double-digit scoring 5 times. And of those 5 times he's been under half PPR double digit points, he's been under 5 points in half PPR scoring 4 times. So it's like when he bottoms out, he bottoms out. Keaton Mitchell is a dart throw. It's not a bad dart throw. Certainly has home run potential. And I would think he mixes in a little bit more tonight. 1, on a short week, and 2, given what he has done the past 2 weeks. It depends on how aggressive you want to be. If you want to play it safe, I guess I would say fire up Calvin Ridley. If you think you need to be aggressive in this matchup, if you're an underdog, you need to swing for the fences, 7 or 8 points from Calvin Ridley is not going to be enough. I might as well just swing for 15 from Keaton Mitchell because I don't trust Calvin Ridley to get me more than 10 to 12 points at best. Then I would probably go Mitchell. If I was being super aggressive, I'm playing the number 1 team in my league. I need to make aggressive plays. I need to be aggressive. I need to play for touchdowns. I need to play for big plays. The answer is Keaton Mitchell. If you think you can play it safe, then I guess I would play Calvin Ridley. The matchup is good enough. He just keeps giving us reasons not to believe in him. That's the problem. Ridley is safe. Keaton is your aggressive home run play, but he is all or nothing. It's possible. His floor is about what Calvin Ridley's floor is, which is like 2 or 3 points. So it depends on what you need. Brees is a slam dunk. All right, full PPR, you need 3 between Laporta, Kincaid, McBride. Jesus, that's a lot of tight ends. McLaurin and Rice. It's a lot of really good tight end options. You might want to consider trading one of those guys. Theoretically, it would be McBride. You could sell high on him right now. I don't know how badly you can get somebody in your league to bite on a tight end, but you might want to consider that. In full PPR, Commanders have the Giants. I think you got to start Terry McLaurin. I mean, the Giants are giving up a ton of points to opposing wide receivers. The Commanders are at home. They're not very good themselves, but the Giants are. If there's one team this year where we could say, you actually don't belong in the NFL, it's the New York Giants. Like, they should be relegated to the college ranks. Like, put the Giants in the Pac-12. Maybe that'll save the conference. I think you got to play Terry. I really want to play. I want to play Rice because it's a great matchup. I want to play Rice because it's a great matchup, but these are some really good tight ends that I feel really badly about leaving on the bench. I think you got to play both of those wide receivers because their matchups couldn't be better. The Eagles, I think, are giving up the most points to opposing wide receivers the past 4 weeks, and the Giants are giving up the second most. So, I mean, you're talking about literally the best matchups possible for your wide receivers. I think you have to play those two. I hate that you have to choose between these 3 tight ends. I would fire up Laporta and try to sell high on McBride. Unless you have, like, double tight end premium going on over there and you just want to hoard tight ends in that scoring format, you have 3 really good tight ends, and I have to imagine somebody out there has a bad tight end situation and would be willing to flip a player for one of those tight ends. I'd be looking to sell high on McBride. You could also try to sell high on Kincaid as well if you're worried about, well, when Dawson Knox comes back, Kincaid's ceiling might be capped. You might want to trade one of those two. I guess I would say trade, for McBride, same conversation. Ertz could come back and vulture some work, even though I think it's McBride's job now. They need to be looking forward to the future anyway. I would look to trade one of those tight ends. If you can get some running back help, I would look to trade one of those 3 tight ends. I would start McLaurin, Rice, and Laporta, even though McBride is on fire right now and has a really good matchup. Full PPR, you need 2 between. Sorry, my power went out for a second. My laptop charger. Need 2 in full PPR between James Cook, Najee, or Keaton Mitchell. Probably those first 2 names. It's boring. It's not sexy. Keaton Mitchell is the sexy name right now, right? He's the guy where it's like, I want to get this guy into my lineup. He's killing it on limited touches, limited opportunities. I think you have to go with Najee and James Cook. They are their teams. Well, the Steelers announced that Jaylen Warren will be the starter moving forward, but Najee has been a lot better recently and remains involved. Like 3 of the past 4 weeks, Najee has scored a touchdown. He's cleared 50 scrimmage yards in all 4 of his past 4 matchups, and has 3 catches or more in 3 of the past 4 games. Najee is boring, and he may have lost his job to Jaylen Warren, but that just means that he's going to get 47% of the snaps instead of 51% of the snaps. They're going to continue to utilize both of those guys. As for James Cook, I know he fumbled. I know he hasn't been scoring touchdowns this year, but he's an explosive playmaker, and the Bills need him. The Jets are a tough matchup. They are a tough defense, but they're actually not a terrible matchup, all things considered, for opposing running backs. I think you got to play those first 2 guys. Keaton Mitchell is an aggressive home run dart throw that you take a chance on if you feel like you need to be as aggressive as possible because you're playing the top team in your league. You got to play Cook and Najee. You got to play Cook and Najee. All right. Let's see. 6-4 in 6-4 in half PPR. You're trying to get Taylor. Okay. Taylor's on bye this week. So you're trying to get him for the rest of the season, and in theory, you're trying to catch the dude who is in a must-win situation this week and therefore can't use Taylor. I gotcha. You could try that. You could try that offer, Cook and Addison. Addison's going to lose a little bit of appeal for people, fair or not, because Justin Jefferson is coming back. If they say that, all you have to say is, Addison hit double-digit half PPR points in the games that Jefferson played. Jefferson probably helps Jordan Addison. He scored touchdown. He was still scoring touchdowns when Jefferson was healthy. Go look it up. I'm painting a picture, a potential conversation for you to have if you need to, in case somebody is worried about Addison with Jefferson coming back. You could try that. You could try that. But keep in mind, I see if Bijan. Okay, that's good. I was gonna say, just keep in mind with Ty Chandler, and Bijan's on bye this week. Ty Chandler might not be an auto start this week if Madison is able to go. That's the only thing. James Cook is a better. I will just say this: if you can't make that trade happen, and I'm okay with making it, or with attempting to make it happen, James Cook is a better option this week than Ty Chandler. Cook and Addison, I think, is a fair offer. And honestly, um forget Tua. I would send Cook and Addison for Taylor straight up. If you need to coax him, the owner a little bit more, I would be even willing to take Tua out of that trade because you have Allen. And I know Allen still has his bye week to come up. That's not for a couple more weeks. Tua would be an awesome bye week fill-in. But there should be a viable enough option on the waiver wire for you to be able to turn to for 1 week when you need it. So go ahead and send it. If they say no, I would even say keep Tua. How about Cook and Addison for just Taylor and see if you can make that happen. I know Allen has the Jets this week. The Jets are a good defense. Allen historically hasn't been good against the Jets. The Bills are going through some turmoil right now, right? They fired Ken Dorsey. Stephon Diggs apparently is telling his brother he wants out of all this. I know. Oh, there's all this drama in Buffalo right now, right? Josh Allen is still playing good football. I know he's got a lot of turnovers. But you look at the advanced stats, you look at you look beyond the box score and all that stuff. I'm not accusing anybody that they're not, but Josh Allen is playing well. He's playing fine. This is a revenge game for the Bills, and they are at home. I would not be super worried about 1 week trying to replace Allen in a game where they're going to play desperate, the Bills are. Because if the Bills lose this game against the Jets, they might not make the playoffs. Like, it is do or die time for the Buffalo Bills. I think they will take care of their business at home. I'm not worried about. I'm not looking to pivot off of Josh Allen this week. He's still a top 3 option. It's Hurts, Mahomes, and Allen still. As far as your options at quarterback for fantasy. So, if you need to remove Tua from that trade to make it happen, I say do it. If they go for it and they throw Tua in the trade, great. If they aren't willing to do it, see if they'll do Cook and Addison for just Taylor, because I would be okay with that as well. Let's see. You were offered Bijan and Deontay for Montgomery and Hopkins. Well, for the season, I guess I like. Do I like Bijan more than I like Montgomery? I don't know that I do. This is a fair offer. I think I'd rather have Montgomery than Bijan, but it's close. Hopkins and Deontay, that's a wash for me. Like Hopkins is older, still good, still producing, still contributing, but he's got a rookie quarterback who might be playing, he might be playing some up and down ball for the rest of the season. Meanwhile, Deontay catches passes from Kenny Pickett. That's hit or miss. You have Kamara and Brees as well. Well, nicely done putting that backfield together. Um, Here is my argument for why you can do it if or why if you are thinking about doing this, why it's okay. Because you have the Lions backfield, and if one thing happens to Montgomery, you have Gibbs. If anything happens to Gibbs, then you would have Montgomery. So I'm okay with it from that perspective. Obviously, Bijan is the most talented player in the Falcons' backfield, but they insist on giving the ball to Tyler Algier as much as they possibly can because Arthur Smith couldn't coach his way out of a paper bag. Welcome to Facemask Fantasy. We slander Arthur Smith here as much as possible. Happy to have you. Bijan is a great talent. Arthur Smith is lost as a head coach. They gave him 22 touches this past week against Arizona. That was good. That was a good development to see. I don't trust that that's going to continue each week. Of course, Bijan is a great individual talent. He's a top 10 running back for the rest of the season, I think. But the reason he's not like a slam dunk top 10 running back for the rest of the season is because he gets taken off the field way more than he should. I don't know if I want to deal with that headache. I think I would just keep what you have. If you already have the Lions backfield, you have Montgomery and Gibbs. If something happens to one, you have the other. I would just stand pat. I think I would just stay put. I think I would rather have Montgomery slightly than Bijan Robinson rest of season. Hopkins and Deontay are a bit of a wash for me. So I think I'll just keep what I already have. I'll just keep I'll just keep what I have. I'm fine with that. Or I am fine with not doing the trade. Like I get Bijan is the sexy name here, but he's in a terrible situation because his head coach is a boob. Greg, you're firing up Walker. Nico first game back after missing a couple of weeks. Noah Brown might not play. Latavius Murray, no. And Amari Cooper, no. Not with Dorian Thompson-Robinson drawing the start. The answer here is Walker. You're playing Walker. I mean, I'm not worried about Zach Charbonnet. Walker is running ahead of him clearly. Got 20 touches, turned it into 120 scrimmage yards, scored a touchdown. Like, you're firing up Walker. Like, yeah, Charbonnet got on the field more. He also touched the ball a lot less than Kenneth Walker did. You're playing Walker. You're playing Walker. All right, let's see. You traded Kittle, Nico, Charbonnet for Howell. Who's Clement? Who I don't know who Clement is. Clement. Who is Clement? I need some clarity on who am I missing? Am I like blanking on like some random who Corey Clement? I hope to God it's not Corey Clement. Yeah, I'm not sure who that is. But Kittle, Nico Charbonnet for Howell and Reynolds. Is that Josh Reynolds? I don't love that return, man. I don't know who Clement is. I hope to God that's not Corey Clement. I hope that's a typo. All right. You need a running back, a wide receiver, and a flex. You have Hall, Walker, Jones, Mitchell, Evans, Adams, Kincaid. Well, Hall remains an obvious start every week. I know he's been a little quiet the past couple weeks, but Hall's an obvious start every week. I think Walker is your flex. Mike Evans has the 49ers. That's gross. But Adams has to catch passes from Aiden O'Connell. Who do the Raiders have this week? Oh, the Dolphins. Well, that's potential for some points to be scored there. It's not a spectacular matchup. I think I would roll the dice on Evans as your wide receiver. So Hall, Walker, and Evans. It's not a good matchup. The 49ers look like a lethal problem on the defensive line. However, their secondary is gettable, is beatable. And the Bucks are going to be throwing because they can't run the ball. They can't run it regardless of what the matchup is. Their offensive line is not great from a run blocking perspective. Rachaad White is an average runner of the ball. He's a great pass catching option out of the backfield, but he's not the best runner out of the backfield. He's okay. He's not great though. They're going to have to throw. I would say, yeah, Hall, Walker, Evans are your starts. Jones is up and down. Mitchell's a dart throw. Adams is up and down, catching passes from Aiden O'Connell. And while I like Kincaid, I don't think he can be considered here given your other options. Like, the only place you could put Kincaid is the flex, and I'm not starting Dalton Kincaid over Breece Hall or Kenneth Walker. That ain't happening. You got to play Charbonnet at running back, but there's guys like Gibson, Herbert, or Spears available. Is it full PPR or half PPR? Gibson's playing some pretty good ball recently. Gibson's playing pretty good. Is Herbert back this week? Is he definitively back this week? I need to look this up. I know he's practicing. Full participant in practice. Tracking toward a return this Sunday. We just don't know. We don't know if he's going to play. I don't want to drop Charbonnet. But I want to play Gibson over him. The guy that I want to play there, Lex, is Gibson. Who else can you drop? I don't want to drop Charbonnet because he's one play away from being the starter, like and taking 75% of the snaps. But I don't want to play him this week. I would play Gibson. If these are your options, I would play Gibson because Gibson has been playing well recently and the Giants are dog water. So that's the guy of this group that I would want to find a way to get in there. Yeah. Gibson's the guy I want to find a way to get in there. As far as who to sit, probably Herbert because it's his first game back after missing a lot of time. Um, and we don't even know if he's going to be activated anyway. So I would play. It's gross, but I would play Watson and Judy. The advantage is Herbert doesn't play until the 4 o'clock window, and Judy doesn't play until Sunday night. So if you want to pivot to Khalil Herbert over Judy, you can. You'll have the luxury of time and the times of these matchups to know. But Watson plays in the 1 o'clock window, so I think you have to just fire him up. I would say Herbert is your sit. Watson, you have to play because of timing. Let's see. You need a defense between the Commanders, the Bills, or the Chiefs. Oh, sorry, I missed Bill's question. Boyd or Calvin? Boyd. Well, standard scoring. Damn it. Still Boyd. I mean, Ridley is, dude. Ridley is the most frustrating. Maybe not the most. Um, he's up there though as one of the most frustrating fantasy options, especially at wide receiver this season. The dude is all over the map as far as what we have been able to expect from him. I'll say Boyd, no T. Higgins. It's a tough spot tonight against the Ravens, but the Bengals are going to have to throw. This is going to be a really competitive game between them and and Baltimore. There might not be a ton of points scored, but Boyd figures to see a ton of targets in the slot with no T. Higgins and the Bengals likely having to go to the air more frequently than the ground to find success. I'll say Boyd. I mean, it's tough because it's a good matchup for Ridley, but there's been a decent amount of good matchups for Ridley this year, and he's done nothing with them. He's had a couple of good weeks, but he's had a lot of down weeks, and his down weeks are really, really bad. Plus, I'll take the guy catching passes from Joe Burrow over the guy catching passes from Trevor Lawrence right now. There's no doubt who the better quarterback is at the moment, or in general. Burrow is better than Lawrence. And right now, that's not even a topic of conversation. I'll take Boyd. I do not like I think the Jags will bounce back this week, but I don't like how they're playing right now. Okay, now the defense question. Commanders, Bills, or Chiefs? The Commanders got a juicy one this week against the Giants. The Chiefs have the Eagles. It's not a great spot, but the Chiefs are much improved on defense this year. Bills have the Jets. It depends on your scoring. My problem with the Commanders is chasing a defense just because it's a great matchup. The problem is the Commanders stink on defense. They traded their top two players on the defensive line and they punted to 2024. Now, they should be fine against Tommy Danny DeVito, the Giants quarterback. They should be fine against him. And I think they're at home. Pretty sure it's a home game for the Commanders. It is. Like, they should be okay, but they're not that good. The Chiefs are actually good. The Chiefs are the best defense of these three, but they've got the worst matchup of these three. The Eagles obviously have a better offense than the Giants, who are the Commanders' opponent, or the Jets, who are the Bills' opponent. So if you're scoring heavily penalizes points against, then maybe go the Bills. The Bills are the safe play here. The Bills are the safe play here. The upside play would be the Chiefs if you think the Chiefs are going to win the game. It's like I always say. If a team is winning, the defense has more chances and opportunities to be opportunistic, which means they tee off on the quarterback, they rush the passer with more intensity and more aggressiveness, increases their chances of sacks and forcing turnovers. But the Eagles pose the greatest threat as far as the opponents of these three teams. I guess I would say go the Bills because they're playing Zach Wilson. They should be able to make a few plays against him, especially since they're on the road. The Jets are. The Bills are the safe play. The Chiefs are an aggressive play that you could go with. But I think it's fair to expect the Eagles to score a good amount of points. And if you get penalized if you get penalized heavy for points against, then that might not be something that you want to do. So I'll say the Bills are your safe play. Chiefs are your aggressive ceiling play, but their floor is lower than the Bills because we can expect the Eagles to score more points against the Chiefs than we can expect the Jets to score against the Bills. So all depends on what you need. The Commanders are in a great spot, but they themselves are not that good. Flex between Gabe Davis or Khalil Herbert. Ugh. I don't want to play Gabe this week. He's pretty much a touchdown or nothing, and the Jets have the best tandem of cornerbacks in the NFL with Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed. They cause all types of problems for opposing wide receivers. Gabe typically plays better at home. That being said, he has had 2 bad home games this year. Well, this past week wasn't awful. It wasn't terrible, but I think he made 1 play. It was good enough to salvage his day. But didn't he catch 2 for 50 or something? 2 for 56? I mean, in a pretty beatable matchup at home against the Broncos, Gabe had 2 catches for 56 yards, and and remember, one of Josh Allen's interceptions was Gabe's fault. The ball bounced off his hands and into the defender's hands. He could have had a bigger day, but he couldn't keep his hands on the ball. I don't want to play Gabe this week. That being said, I'm not crazy about Herbert in his first game back, and he might not even play. Are there any alternatives on the waiver wire? Like, is Trenton Irwin out there tonight? Like, for tonight's game? Is Trenton Irwin still out there? I would probably play him tonight over Gabe Davis or or Khalil Herbert. Like, is Rondale Moore out there? He got 8 targets last week. Is Jaden Reed out there? Is Antonio Gibson out there? I assume this is a flex spot that you're trying to figure because the question is of running back or a wide receiver. Is Antonio Gibson out there? Hell, did Darrell Henderson get dropped? He's going to play for one more week. Kyron Williams isn't coming back until next week. Is Darrell Henderson out there? Like, I'm looking. The answer for me between Gabe Davis or Khalil Herbert is whatever the next best option is on the wire. I don't want to play Gabe against the Jets. I don't want to play Khalil Herbert in his maybe first game back. He might not even play. And if he does, how active is he going to be? How much work is he going to get over Donta Foreman and Roshan Johnson? It might not be that much, at least for this week, if he plays. Yeah. So Gabe Davis or Khalil Herbert, my answer is neither. What's on the wire? Is Darrell Henderson out there? Is Antonio Gibson out there? Is Jaden Reed out there? Is Curtis Samuel out there? Trenton Irwin tonight is a guy that I would rather play even in a bad matchup than Gabe Davis. Is Michael Wilson out there? He has Kyler back. You're looking for dart throws at this point. I would take any one of those names over Gabe. And Cap, I see the conversation about that trade, Cap. I still don't know who Clement is. So if you're still in here, I don't know who that Clement name is. Honestly, Kittle, Nico, Charbonnet for Howell and Reynolds, that's only good in a super flex league, which it might be because there's a lot of quarterbacks involved in this conversation. So it might be a super flex league. I can't remember. In that case, it's a little bit better, but you gave up some decent pieces. That's the only thing. And you had Jalen Hurts. What did you trade him for? You don't want to. I hope this is not super flex because Hurts is not a guy that you trade in super flex. Hell, he's not a guy you trade in one quarterback either. Pat Fryermuth, Higbee, Conklin, Mayer, or Chig this week. I kind of like Ty Conklin. I think he had like 7 catches last week. He's been pretty consistently involved this year. And the Bills are giving up, I think, top 8 production on the season to opposing tight ends. What is Higbee's status for this week? He has not done anything this year. That's the problem. Didn't have a catch last week. That was with Brett Ripien at quarterback, though, so don't hold that against him. 5 for 45, week 8 is his best week since week 4. Yeah, I don't trust Higbee. I would say Tyler Conklin. As a tight end stream this week, I would say Conklin. Bills are a good enough matchup for opposing tight ends, and Conklin's been pretty decent, all things considered, this year. 7 catches last week for 70 yards. 6 catches the week before for 66 yards. Now, he didn't have a catch week 8 against the Giants. That was a weird rain. That was a rainy, bad weather game. Like, terrible game played by 2 bad offenses. So, like, all right, whatever. Nobody was starting Tyler Conklin that week anyway. 3 for 24 prior to that, then 4 for 67, 4 for 58, 3 for 26, 5 for 50. He only had 1 catch week 1. I mean, outside of week 1 and that clunker weird week 8 game between the Giants and the Jets, which was like a rain-soaked game, Conklin's been pretty solid. In 9 games this year, he has at least 3 catches in 7 of them. I would say Conklin. I would say Conklin. One tight end, 2 flex between McBride, Kincaid, Warren, Deontay. One has to be a tight end. I think you got to play. I guess I would play McBride. I would play McBride at my tight end spot. And I guess I would play my Steelers. I'll play Deontay and I'll play Jalen Warren. It's not a good matchup against Cleveland. But what we have to remember is the Browns' offense could be the gift that keeps on giving for the rest of the season. I mean, Dorian Thompson-Robinson is a rookie who I don't know how much confidence we can have in that guy. If he is struggling, he could cause some short fields for the Browns defense to have to deal with, and that's how the Steelers capitalize on offense. Kincaid obviously is in a better situation catching passes from Josh Allen, but the Jets are a brutal matchup for opposing tight ends. They have been really good against opposing tight ends, especially the past month or so. If you'd rather play, I would say play McBride. If you want to play the guy with the best quarterback, then you play Kincaid, and I guess I would still play Deontay. But if you want to play what I think is the slightly better play given the matchups, I would play Deontay and Warren, and McBride would be the tight end that I fire up. Oh, it's Cole Kmet. Okay. It's KMET is his last name, Kmet. Okay. I was like, is that Corey Clement in that trade? Like, holy hell. Yeah, I'd rather have Kittle than Kmet. I'd rather have Nico than Josh Reynolds. Is this Superflex? If it's not Superflex, I got to be honest, I'm not crazy about the return. If it's Superflex, then okay, it's fine. Because you got Hal, and Hal should be slinging it for the rest of the season, especially given how bad Washington's defense is. If it's one quarterback, man, I gotta be honest, I'm not crazy about that return. But crazier things have happened. We'll see. Komet has been coming on strong a little, recently. Of course, that's been with Bagent of all things, or Bagent, excuse me. I guess we'll see if he can come back and play well with Fields. He did play well with Fields in Fields' last full game. That was back in week 5. He had 5 for 42 and a touchdown. So Komet's been fine. I think I'd rather have Kittle, and I would definitely rather have Nico. I know Nico's missed the past couple of games. Yeah. If it's super flex, I'm okay. Okay, fine, because you got to get a quarterback. But if it's one quarterback, it's not. Then I'm not crazy about it. It's okay if it's one quarterback, it's okay to only have one quarterback. I only have one quarterback in all of my one quarterback leagues. I only pick those guys up when there's a bye week or an injury. Lamar or Stroud? Man, I mean, Stroud is playing so freaking well. We're at the point now where we can ask this question. It's tough. I think I got to play Lamar. I know Stroud is on an absolute heater, and as a rookie, looks like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. This is Lamar Jackson we're talking about. Stroud's numbers recently have been better than Lamar's, but consider the context. Last week they played Cleveland. That's just a tough matchup. That's a tough spot. Cleveland's got a great defense, the best defense in the league. Seattle, he just didn't have to do that much, Lamar did, because they blew them out. The team collectively blew the Seahawks out, so Lamar didn't really have to do anything. Against Arizona, he struggled. He did struggle. It was a road game for whatever that's worth. But tonight, against the Bengals, at home, I got to think that the pendulum swings Lamar's way here in these next couple of games and the points start coming. It sucks that you have to make this decision. I would probably play Lamar. The easiest way to deal with this headache of having two good quarterbacks in a one quarterback league is to trade one of them away for whatever you need. If you could use some more wide receiver depth, trade a quarterback for a wide receiver. If you could use some running back depth, trade one of those quarterbacks for a running back. You do not, in one quarterback leagues, if you have two quarterbacks, you have one quarterback too many. That is my rule. In one quarterback leagues, you should have one quarterback. The only time you have two quarterbacks on your roster is for bye weeks or injury. If your regular starter is healthy, that is the only quarterback that you need. Now, obviously, Stroud has forced his way into the conversation of like, this guy might be my guy. The best way to avoid a quarterback start-sit decision in a one quarterback league is to trade one of the two for whatever you can get, the best offer that you can get. If CJ Stroud gives you the best running back in a return because you need running back help, make that trade. If CJ Stroud gives you the best return for a wide receiver and you could use some wide receiver help, make that trade. If you have two quarterbacks in a one quarterback league and both are past their bye weeks, I'm pretty sure both Ravens have had their bye week, right? No, they haven't. It's week 13. Ravens haven't had their bye week yet. The Texans have. I would, you know what I would do? I would probably sell high on Stroud because he's the talk of the town right now. Get a good running back or a good wide receiver, whatever you could use, and just rock with Lamar. And then in week 13, when you need a bye week fill in, you pick up a guy off waivers. And then you drop that dude once Lamar is back. So I would play Lamar. I would play Lamar and just hope that the pendulum swings his way tonight in the form of more points scored by him in a game where the Ravens are going to need him. And they're going to have to stay aggressive throughout because this is a tough divisional matchup. And then I would sell Stroud for a really good option at running back or wide receiver. And that eliminates whatever thoughts you have to make as far as starting a quarterback week to week. Achan and Walker for ETN. Mm, I would have liked this trade a month ago. I don't like it as much now that Achan is on his way back. I think that's a little too rich for me. I think that's a little too rich for me. ETN has been great, but Walker has been pretty damn good himself, and now Achan is that's your wild card. That's your lottery ticket, whatever you want to call it. I would keep Achan and Walker. I would not. If you have ETN and you can trade him for Achan and Walker, then fine. But if you have Achan and Walker, I would keep them. I would keep those guys. I would not make that trade if I'm the one acquiring ETN. ETN's been the best of the three, but that's a lot of running back depth to give up for one guy. A 2-for-1 trade involving 3 running backs looms larger for the team giving away 2 running backs than it may feel like at the time of the trade. That's a lot of depth to be giving up that you can rely on in the playoffs. I would not do that. I would not do that. What's going on, Crumply Heads? Good to see you, man. Do I think Dobbs is a set and forget? Yeah, he might get to that point. I mean, he's going to get Justin Jefferson back. He's playing out of his mind. He's getting Jefferson back. He's got another good player in Jordan Addison. He's got a top option in TJ Hawkinson at tight end to throw the ball to, and they're not great running the ball. Dobbs will run. He might become a set and forget. I wouldn't drop Lawrence. I would hope for a good performance from Lawrence and see if you could trade him to a quarterback needy team. Or you could sell high on Dobbs now and hope that Lawrence turns it around. But I would need a rock solid option at running back or wide receiver to part with Dobbs. I don't know if anybody who could be interested would actually be willing to do that, but that would be something that you want to consider looking into. As far as Ford or McBride this week, is it PPR? I don't usually recommend tight ends over running backs. I would probably go Ford. I would probably go Ford. I just have a tough time recommending tight ends over running backs. I know McBride is on a heater. 2 of his past 3 games have been absolute ceiling performances, but the Browns are going to run the ball a ton now. Ford figures to be able to come through with a lot of volume. I think I got to play Ford. All right, where am I at? I got that the running back trade. I would keep Achan and Walker. Wait on Nico Collins or go with Keaton Mitchell tonight. Who are your other options? What's Nico's status? Did he practice today? He logged a limited practice. I would wait on Nico. I would wait on Nico. I like Keaton Mitchell. I do. But Nico Collins is the wide receiver one for a Houston Texans offense that is booming right now with CJ Stroud at the helm. I would want to wait on Nico. Mitchell is a super interesting flyer tonight. Nico is a little bit more of a sure thing week to week than Keaton Mitchell when healthy. I would wait on Nico. I also just have a hard time recommend unless it's a little bit more obvious to me or it feels a little bit more obvious to me. I just have a hard time vouching for ancillary players on Thursday night. I hate the short week. Is it great that we have football tonight? Yeah, of course it's great that we have football tonight, but probably going to be a lesser product because these teams haven't had a full week of preparation and rest. I would wait on Nico. I would wait on Nico. Got offered as another trade question. Brees and Kelsey for Eckler and Kincaid. Interesting. That's interesting. Eckler is a top 5 running back rest of season. Brees is maybe a little bit more like a top 10 running back rest of season. So both obviously still really good options, but I think I'd rather have Eckler. I will say the gap between Kelsey and Kincaid is massive, is super significant. Like, obviously, Kelsey's a top 5 asset rest of season, especially considering how bad Kansas City's wide receivers are. Brees is still an elite option at running back. He is hampered by the ineptitude of Zach Wilson and the Jets offense, but he is still a great individual player. Eckler has the best playoff schedule, maybe of any running back. He honestly might have the best schedule for the rest of the season in general, or for any running back. I don't think Eckler has a difficult matchup by the numbers for the rest of the year. And in full PPR, that makes him even more valuable. That being said, I think I would accept this trade. You are taking a bit of a hit at running back going from Eckler to Brees, but you are getting a massive, significantly bigger increase going from Kincaid to Kelsey, who is also now past his bye. Kelsey's past his bye. Kincaid is not. Eckler and Brees are both past their bye weeks. Eckler's was in week 5. Brees's was, I think, in week 7 or 8. I think I would accept this. It hurts to lose Eckler looking at his schedule, but you're getting Brees and you're upgrading from Kincaid to Kelsey, which is a major upgrade. I say yes. I would do this deal. I don't love giving up Eckler, but for that return, I think I got to do it. For that return, I think I have to do it. It's possible Eckler is the best option in the fantasy playoffs because his schedule is so good. But Kelsey and Brees, I think I gotta accept that one. Thoughts on the Ravens defense tonight? You could also play the Lions, which is a good matchup against the Bears, even with Justin Fields coming back. The Ravens are fine and probably just the team that I would go with because I don't want to drop them. Because like, do you have to drop the Ravens defense for one of those pickups? I don't really want to do that. They're tough. They're good. They're good at home. Yes, they're playing Joe Burrow tonight, but it's a short week. You would think the Ravens are going to have their opportunities on defense. I would just play the Ravens. I like Joe Burrow tonight. I like the Bengals offense tonight, but that doesn't mean that the Ravens defense can't make plays, here and there. And you expect them to at home. You expect them to at home. So I would just play the Ravens defense because you probably have to, those other defenses are on waivers, but you probably got to drop the Ravens in order to pick them up. And even if you don't have to, I think I would still just play the Ravens. They are the best unit. It's a tough matchup, but they are the best unit at home on a short week. Give me the Ravens. Give me the Ravens. I'm sorry. Antonio Gibson didn't practice today. Did I miss that? Underdog NFL is asleep at the wheel for me. He did. And he missed practice yesterday. Oh, shit. All right. Well, wheels up on Brian Robinson. Holy hell. Brian Robinson is a must start. I mean, he's entered must start territory anyway. I have him in a league somewhere. I have him on my bench. It's a thinner league, and it's not one of my more serious ones, but I got to find a way to get him in there. Problem is, I have other really good running backs to choose from. I hate when I draft with a bunch of casuals and they leave me with too many good options on my bench. But that's not y'all's problem. Okay, if Gibson didn't play, then pick up or practice, then pick up Darrell Henderson. I see you can pick. I would pick up Henderson. That's the guy I am playing. It was Charbonnet, right? Or no, it was Gabe Davis or Khalil Herbert. Yeah, no. I would play Henderson. Pick up Henderson. Pick up Henderson. Pick up and play Henderson. What's going on, Iron? Good to see you, man. Keaton Mitchell's $14 in DFS. Why does that feel like it's more expensive than it should be? Who else is around him as far as price? What other running backs are in that range, Iron? As far as who costs what? Yeah, and Tommy, pick up Henderson. Rashad White or Devontae Smith? As his standard scoring like the Stroud versus Herbert question? Stroud versus Herbert, I think you go Stroud. He's at home. Cardinals are a great matchup. Herbert doesn't have a terrible matchup. The Packers are not that great, but he is on the road. It's an early game for the Chargers. It's a 1 p.m. start. West Coast team coming east for an earlier game. I think I would play Stroud versus over Herbert. If I have Stroud, I'm playing him. As far as Rashad White or Devontae Smith, if it's standard scoring, I would feel inclined to go with the running back. Like, yes, it's a tough matchup, but White catches the ball a lot out of the backfield. Not that that helps for standard scoring, but he's on a bit of a heater recently. He's seen a lot of usage. Devontae Smith should be fine against the Chiefs. He should be fine. But I think I got to play Rashad White. He has been really good over the past few weeks. It looks like Rashad White has found his groove recently, has found his rhythm. And even in a tough matchup against San Francisco, you would think the Bucs try to take advantage of that aggressive line by throwing some screens to Rashad White. I got to think he sees some rock solid usage against the 49ers. I would play Rashad White over Devontae Smith, and I would play Stroud over Herbert. Yeah, that's where I'm at. Warren Cook. Oh, yeah, that's way too expensive for Keaton Mitchell. I can't do that. Nah, I can't do that. That's too much. That's too much hype. If he pops off, then so be it. There are other running backs who are their clear-cut starters that I would rather play. Yeah, that's a lot. It's not a bad matchup. The Bengals are they're a top half of the league matchup for running backs. It's not a bad spot for those running backs. That just feels like a lot of money given those other names that are around him. I don't love it. I don't like that. That's too rich for my blood for a guy who is the change of pace running back. It's a lot of money. And how do I feel about Chase tonight? That's a guy you can fire up in DFS. You can fire him up. Chase is a stud. He's going to cost you a shitload of money. There's probably going to be a lot of people that have him in their lineups, but also when T. Higgins doesn't play, Chase averages like 10 catches a game this season. I think that's correct. I think that's accurate. Oh hell, we're about 20 minutes to kickoff. All right, I got to speed. I see y'all's questions. I promise I will get to everybody. I'm getting to my members first, but I will get to everyone. Sit tight if I haven't gotten to you. Yeah, dude. Chase averages so much production with T. Higgins out of the lineup. One of those games came against the Arizona Cardinals, but whatever. Yeah, you can fire Chase up tonight. He's fine. All right. Where am I at? I think it's Kyle's question. Full PPR, 2 running backs, receiver, flex, tight end. Madison, Ford, Mitchell, Boyd, Gabe, Cooks, McBride, Fergie. Boyd, get Boyd in as your wide receiver. Like, get McBride in as your tight end. Ford is one of your running backs. Madison, we got to wait on. He's practicing, but he hasn't passed concussion protocol yet, so we don't know if he's going to play. Let's see. Boyd is your wide receiver. McBride is your tight end. And then it comes down to like Ferguson versus Cooks. I guess I would roll the dice on Cooks. Here's my conundrum, Kyle. I think I would say Ford and then fire up Keaton Mitchell tonight because we just don't know if Madison is going to play. Madison would be my answer here. We just don't know if he's going to play. Here's what we're gonna do, Kyle. Boyd is your wide receiver. McBride is your tight end. Ford is one of your running backs. Keaton Mitchell is your other running back. Put Cooks in your flex. But if Madison plays, you can swap Cooks out for Madison in a great matchup. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. All right. Jake's questions. Pick two. PPR. Keaton Mitchell, Pacheco, or Noah Brown. Noah Brown has missed the past 2 practices and is potentially going to miss this game. So, Keaton Mitchell and Pacheco. It looks like Noah Brown might not play. So if Keaton Mitchell is your next best choice, I guess fire him up. Everybody check and make sure that Darrell Henderson is not available on waivers. If he is, I would prefer to play a guy like that over Keaton Mitchell tonight. Keaton Mitchell is a very intriguing dart throw, but Darrell Henderson has a great matchup, should be his team's starter. Kyren Williams is not going to return for another week. I would want to make sure that he's not available on waivers before I fire up Keaton Mitchell. But Keaton Mitchell is fine as a dart throw if you feel like he is your best option, and then Pacheco is one of your others. I would go Lamar tonight over Dobbs. I know Dobbs has been playing great. He's in another pretty good matchup against Denver. But we're talking about Lamar freaking Jackson here. I think you got to fire Lamar up. I think he's still a top 5 option at quarterback. I think the pendulum swings his way tonight as far as scoring points. They're going to need him in a tough must-win division game against the Bengals tonight. Full PPR. Trade Rashad and Addison for Devontae Smith and Marquise Brown. No. Because you have Ayuk, Waddle, and Addison. You're trading a running back away and not getting one in return. McCaffrey and Brees are a great top 2. Hopefully, Kyren Williams can come back and be that guy, again, out of the Rams' backfield. But you want running back depth this time of year over wide receiver depth. If anything happens to one of those 4 guys, you want to have 3 others to lean on. I would not make that trade. And Rachaad White is on a heater right now. You should be asking for more. Not that Devontae Smith and Hollywood Brown isn't a good return, but I would scrap both of those guys for Rachaad White and Rachaad White and Addison for a stud wide receiver. Like Diggs or something. Running back depth cannot be discounted for how valuable it is. If you are trading a running back and a wide receiver and not getting a running back in return, get a stud wide receiver. I would not do that trade. Let's see. Iron, I'm happy to hear that I've been helping out with DFS, so let's keep it rolling. Let's see. Zay Flowers, Cooper, Ridley, or Deontay Johnson. You need one. I would fire up Flowers tonight. I don't think there's anything super scary about the matchup against the Bengals. He's going to be needed tonight at home in a big matchup. Cooper has a rookie throwing him the ball. Ridley is impossible to trust. Deontay's in a tough matchup on the road against Cleveland. That's a bad matchup. I'll take Flowers. Give me Flowers of those 4 guys. I like Cooper, but DTR, we'll see. Can't trust Ridley. I like Deontay, but that's a brutal matchup against the Cleveland secondary. Do I think Jefferson? Who's Jefferson tonight? What Jefferson? Not Justin Jefferson. Is there a Jefferson in the Ravens or the Bengals? Or is that one of the Ravens secondary guys? I can't remember. As far as Tua versus Dobbs, Tua. Play Tua. He's playing well. The Dolphins are a better offense. They've got better weapons than the Vikings do, top to bottom. I'll take Tua throwing the ball to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. He gets Acham back. Tua's been really good this year. He gets a great matchup against the Raiders. Um, Dobbs has a good matchup against the Broncos, but he's on the road. Tua's at home. I'll take Tua. I'll take I'll take Tua. This week does Jefferson play this week? He has declared that he's not going to play until he's 100%. He's practicing in a limited fashion. This week, I'm going to assume he's going to get slapped with the questionable tag. They'll probably take it right up to kickoff. It's going to be frustrating because they don't play until Sunday night. If he's not 100% and we can take him at his word, then he's not going to play this week because Jefferson came out and said while he was still on IR that he's not playing until he's 100%. So it's a wait and see. It's a true wait and see. He's going to be slapped with the questionable tag, and he's going to be 50-50. And then as far as your cuts, I mean, rest of season, I'd love Rashid Shaheed, but he is a dart throw. Downs is a little bit more consistent. I'd rather have Downs. I don't know I don't know what other defense you have available, but I don't want to drop the Ravens. In fact, I want to play the Ravens tonight. Unless you have the Dallas Cowboys or the Pittsburgh Steelers as a defense, I want to play the Ravens tonight. So don't drop them. Like, I'd rather play the Ravens than the Browns because the Browns could be put in some bad situations with the rookie quarterback. I would want to play the Ravens over the Chiefs because the Chiefs are a really good defense. They're much improved this year, but the Eagles are a formidable opponent. Like, I want to play the Ravens tonight. I don't know what I would play the Ravens. It's close. It's really, really close. The Browns are a better unit. They are a better team. If you want to play the best defense, then that would be the Browns. The problem with the Browns is they are going to be relying on a rookie quarterback in Dorian Thompson-Robinson to hold down the fort on offense. It's not out of the realm of possibility that he puts them in some tough spots on Sunday, like turnovers in bad spots. I might just play it safe and fire up the Ravens tonight. I know that the Bengals, Joe Burrow, that's a much tougher matchup, but the Ravens are at home on a short week, and they're no slouch on defense themselves. That's a good unit. It's a tough call. The Browns are the better defense. If you would rather play the best unit, it's the Browns. If I wanted to play what I think is the potential better situation, it's the Ravens. You trust Lamar Jackson to not put his defense in bad situations the way a rookie might. Wasn't DTR a 7th-round pick? I mean, look, that doesn't matter once the games kick off. But, I mean, we saw him play, and it was in an emergency situation earlier this year. Deshaun Watson was supposed to play, and then he was ruled out at the last second, and Cleveland had to scrap their whole game plan. It was bad. So maybe it's a little better with a full week of prep for DTR. I worry about that spot. Even though it's against Joe Burrow, I almost feel like I trust the Ravens a little bit more. Are the Bengals going to score more points, which caps the Ravens' ceiling? Yeah, that's fair. But at home on a short week, when the under has been hitting on these games like clockwork, points are not being scored in these Thursday night football games the way that they are on Sundays. That obviously could change any given week, and these are two good offenses, but if there's anything that you want to hammer as far as if you're a betting man or woman, whoever I'm talking to right now, the unders on Thursday night football have been hitting this year like clockwork. Less points are scored on Thursday nights. That's just the name of the game. I think I would tentatively feel a little better about the Ravens tonight. The Browns are the better defense. I'm not arguing that. The Browns are the better unit, but they might be put in some worse situations with the rookie quarterback on Sunday. I think I would slightly go with the Ravens. It's a 50-50 coin. It's honestly a bit of a coin flip because I would say they're neck and neck. They're both really good options. I would say the Ravens are your safe play and your Browns are an aggressive play if you think you need to be aggressive, but I think they have more downside because of the rookie quarterback. All right. I think I got everybody. I am reasonably confident that I got every single question with about 8 minutes to go before kickoff. Is it 8:15 or 8:20? I don't even know. I'm like double checking. It's 8:15. Okay. 7 minutes to spare. I think I got every single question for this evening. So, with that said, best of luck with whatever your situation is this evening. I will be back on Saturday for Start Sit Help, 6 p.m. Eastern for the full Sunday slate. So be sure to tune in. Um, Probably not going to be streaming next week. I will be traveling for the holidays. I will be available in Discord. Second link in the description of every video on my channel, every live stream on my channel, including this one. You can join the Discord. If you have any questions, you can hit me there, or you can ask a question in the form of a comment on any video or stream. Swift or Taylor for the playoffs? Taylor, hands down. Jonathan Taylor. He doesn't get vultured at the goal line by Jalen Hurts. And he looks like he's all the way back. Taylor, easily for me. Taylor, easily for me. Unless that's a play on words for Taylor Swift. And then the answer is no. But that'll do it for me this evening. Again, Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern, start sit help for the Sunday slate. So be sure to come in and hang out if you need to finalize anything with me. And you can hit me in Discord all next week or a question in the form of a comment on any videos on my channel. I'll be sure to try to get to it, even though it will be a holiday week and I will be traveling. Appreciate y'all's patience and hanging out tonight. Appreciate the engagement and the questions. I will see you guys Saturday. Enjoy the game. Thanks, everybody.